ever get that. Like, you sit down all ready to focus, and bam, your phone's buzzing and emails are piling up.
Oh, yeah.
Next thing you know, you're watching those like cute puppy videos or something.
Yeah, it's like our brains are just like wired for distraction these days.
Totally.
It's not just you feeling that way.
Yeah.
Studies actually show that our attention spans, they're shrinking.
Makes sense.
And the average person checks their phone over 150 times a day.
150 times.
Yeah.
Whoa, no wonder I feel so scattered.
Right.
It's like every time I try to like zero in on something, something else is pulling me away.
Yeah, and the real problem is the cost of all those distractions.
Oh, yeah.
Research says it can take like up to 23 minutes to fully refocus.
Wow.
After every interruption.
That's a lot of time.
That's a huge amount of time just to get back on track.
So what do? Become like digital hermits?
Right.
Go live on a mountaintop to get anything done?
Maybe not that extreme. There's this idea of deep work that might help here. It's all about training our minds to really focus on those like really demanding tasks.
Okay.
It's a skill anyone can learn.
Deep work. I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
So break it down for me. What does deep work actually look like?
So Kel Newport, he's the guy who made this term really popular.
Right.
He says deep work is focused, undistracted effort.
Okay.
Applied to like really challenging tasks.
I see.
That's like the opposite of all that shallow stuff we do, like email scrolling,
Yeah.
mindless clicking.
So it's those times when you're like totally absorbed in something.
Right.
Like you lose track of time writing or coding.
Yeah, exactly.
I think some people call that like being in the flow or something. Or...
That's it, that flow state.
Yeah.
And that's where the real progress happens.
Interesting.
Like think about the big achievements throughout history.
Okay.
Like groundbreaking inventions,
Yeah.
books, works of art,
Yeah.
all products of deep work.
That makes sense.
Right.
I definitely feel more creative and productive when I can tune everything out.
And just like dive into a project.
Yeah.
But with all the notifications and demands these days,
Right.
deep work, it just seems impossible.
It might feel that way.
Yeah.
It's more about making choices and building habits
Okay.
that really support that focus.
Gotcha.
Think of it like training for a marathon.
Okay.
You don't start by running 26 miles.
You'd be crazy to
right?
do.
You build up to it.
Yeah.
Deep work's the same way.
So I don't have to quit my job and go live in silence just yet.
Uh-huh. No, not yet.
How do we actually start cultivating this deep work superpower?
Right.
Is it meditation apps? Screen time limits?
Those can help, but
Yeah.
let's start with some like foundational strategies from those materials you shared.
Okay.
5 key tactics really jump out.
5. Okay. Everybody, lay 'em on me.
What's the first step on the road to deep work mastery?
Yeah.
First one, it's simple, but people forget it.
Okay.
Schedule it.
Schedule it.
Treat those deep work sessions like important meetings.
Even if it's just for 30 minutes at first.
Yeah.
Block that time on your calendar.
Okay.
Make it non-negotiable.
So like I literally write deep work on my calendar.
Yep. Just like a meeting with your boss.
Okay.
It's interesting, just having that visual reminder can make you more likely to stick to it.
Like you're making that commitment right there in your schedule.
Exactly.
I like that. What's next?
Okay, this one might seem obvious,
Okay.
but it's crucial. Eliminate distractions.
Okay.
I don't just mean put your phone on silent.
Right.
We're talking radical measures.
Oh, wow.
Phone in another room, disabling notifications, noise-canceling headphones.
Really going all out.
Yeah, you have to.
So it's about creating that environment where you can really focus.
Exactly.
I've definitely noticed I get more done in a quiet library than my chaotic home office.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Our environment plays a huge role in our focus.
Right.
But it's not just external distractions.
Oh.
Sometimes our own minds are the biggest obstacle.
Oh, tell me about it.
Right.
I can be in the quietest room and my mind's still all over the place.
That's where this third technique comes in.
Okay.
It's called the Pomodoro technique.
Okay.
It's this time management method that breaks down work into intervals.
Okay.
Traditionally, 25 minutes of focused work,
Uh-huh.
followed by a 5-minute break.
I've heard of that. I think I even tried it once,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure I was doing it right.
It's so simple, but it works.
Okay.
The timer's like a commitment device.
Okay.
Like you're making a deal with yourself.
Right.
Just focus for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Then you get that short break as a reward.
Right.
Your brain gets to reset
Okay.
before jumping back in.
That makes it seem less daunting than like hours of focus.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. What's tip number 4?
All right, this one's about using your natural energy.
Okay.
Prioritize the tough stuff for when your mental energy's highest.
Okay.
For most people, that's the morning.
Definitely me.
Don't waste that peak focus on shallow work,
Yeah.
like emails.
I am a morning person for sure. If I try to do creative stuff later in the day, it's a disaster.
That's your body telling you when it's ready for deep work.
It's like working with your body, not against it.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
So we've got scheduling, minimizing distractions, Pomodoro technique, and prioritizing by energy.
You had it.
What's the final tip for this deep work mastery?
The fifth one, it goes back to that marathon idea.
Okay.
Think of your focus like a muscle.
Okay.
It needs training.
Makes sense.
Start small and gradually increase how long you can do deep work.
Like at the gym,
Okay.
right?
Exactly.
Don't try to bench press 300 pounds on day one.
Right.
Don't get discouraged if you can only manage 15 minutes of deep work at first.
Exactly.
It's about consistency and challenging yourself to focus longer.
That's it.
So those 5 tips: scheduling, minimizing distractions, Pomodoro technique, prioritizing by energy, and training our focus.
Yeah.
Those are the foundation of deep work.
Yeah.
It's not about becoming some kind of robot.
Yeah.
It's about creating a system to help us be our best. I like that. And what's cool is these principles aren't just theory.
Yeah.
They're being used by some of the most successful people in the world.
That's right.
Now that's what I call a good cliffhanger. I can't wait to hear about those examples in part 2.
All right. See you then.
All right, back to deep work. And I gotta say, I'm feeling pretty inspired
Yeah.
to make some changes after our last talk, but I'm also trying to be realistic, you know?
Yeah.
It's not always going to be easy peasy.
Of course.
There are going to be days when I just can't focus.
Definitely.
So those real world examples you mentioned, I'm really curious about those.
Oh, yeah. You're going to love this.
Okay.
Because it's one thing to like understand the idea,
Right.
but seeing it in action is really something.
Yeah.
Take J.K. Rowling, for instance.
Okay.
When she was writing Harry Potter,
Uh-huh.
she would rent out hotel rooms
Really?
to escape distractions and just write.
A whole hotel room just to write? That's dedication.
Oh,
But I kind of get it. Being in a totally new environment like that
uh-huh.
could help shut out all the everyday stuff.
It's not just about the distractions, though.
Oh, okay.
There's a psychological thing happening there.
Interesting.
By leaving her normal surroundings,
Yeah.
she was basically telling her brain, okay, time to focus.
Makes sense.
It's like drawing a line between deep work and everything else.
That's fascinating. So are there other examples of successful people doing this?
For sure. Like
Wow.
Bill Gates.
Okay.
He's famous for taking these think weeks.
Think weeks.
Yeah, he isolates himself in a cabin,
Wow.
totally disconnected. No internet, no phone calls.
Just him and his thoughts.
Yeah, to just think and brainstorm.
That sounds intense.
Right.
But I guess when you're trying to solve like global problems,
Yeah.
you need that kind of deep thinking.
It shows how deep work isn't just for creative stuff.
Right.
It's for problem solving, too.
Okay.
And then there's Elon Musk.
Okay.
He's got a different approach, but the same commitment to focus. He schedules his whole day in 5-minute slots.
5 minutes. Seriously, I can barely decide what to eat in 5 minutes.
Uh-huh. Right.
How does he get anything done?
It sounds crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but it shows how dedicated he is to using every minute.
Wow.
Of course, not everyone needs to schedule their life like that.
Right.
But it shows how important it is to be intentional with our time.
So whether it's a hotel room, a think week, or 5-minute blocks,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like all these successful people are really committed to making time for deep work.
That's the key takeaway.
Yeah.
Deep work doesn't just happen.
Right.
It takes effort in choosing it over all those shallow tasks.
I'm feeling inspired, but
Yeah.
sometimes those shallow tasks, they feel unavoidable.
I know you mean.
Like when my inbox is overflowing
Uh-huh.
and I'm drowning in to-do lists.
Yeah.
How can I even think about deep work when everything feels urgent?
You've hit on something really important.
Okay.
It's not enough to know about deep work.
Right.
You need ways to actually do it in the middle of all the chaos of life.
Exactly.
And that brings us back to those 5 tips.
Oh.
Remember, it all starts with scheduling.
Okay, scheduling those deep work sessions.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I've tried that. And things always come up.
Oh, yeah.
Meetings, deadlines, and suddenly my deep work time is gone.
That's a common problem.
Yeah.
And that's why eliminating distractions is so important.
Okay.
It's about protecting those deep work slots.
Yeah.
Like you would any other meeting.
So it's like saying to myself, This time is non-negotiable.
Exactly.
No emails, no calls, no social media during this time.
That's the mindset.
Okay.
It's not just silencing notifications.
Right.
It's about removing temptations.
Okay.
Put your phone away log out of social media, even use website blockers.
Wow, really? Going for it.
You gotta.
Creating an environment where focus is just automatic.
Yes, I like to think of it as a deep work sanctuary.
A deep work sanctuary. I love that.
It's about creating a safe space for your mind.
Makes sense.
And it doesn't have to be a physical space.
Right.
You can create it anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
By choosing to eliminate distractions.
Okay, but what about distractions that come from inside? Like when my mind's racing.
Right.
And I can't settle on one thought.
That's where the Pomodoro technique comes in.
Okay.
Remember, it's not about forcing yourself to focus for hours.
Right.
It's about breaking it down into manageable chunks with breaks.
Right. 25 minutes work, 5 minutes break.
Exactly.
I think I'm getting how that could help with those mental distractions.
Yeah.
It's like giving my mind permission to wander a bit, knowing it has to get back to work soon.
And here's the thing, even during those breaks,
Yeah.
your subconscious is still working on the problem.
Really?
It's like letting your brain breathe.
Okay.
And that can lead to new ideas.
So it's not really wasted time.
Not at all.
It's part of the process.
It is. It's about working with your rhythms, not against them.
Right.
And that takes us back to prioritizing by energy levels.
Okay. Tackling the hard stuff when I'm sharpest, usually first thing in the morning.
For most people.
But honestly, sometimes it feels like every task is a mountain.
I get it.
How do I even decide where to start?
This is where decision fatigue comes in.
Okay.
The more decisions we make, the more tired our brains get.
Right.
That's why it's so important to simplify our choices.
So like planning my to-do list the night before.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you don't waste energy deciding what to do first.
It's like giving my future self a gift.
I love it.
The gift of focus.
It is. It's about being kind to ourselves.
Yeah.
Knowing our mental energy is limited.
Right.
And setting ourselves up to succeed.
This is making so much sense, but there's still this voice in my head saying, what if I just can't focus?
Right.
What if I'm just not wired for deep work?
That's where remembering that focus is a muscle comes in.
Okay.
You can train it.
Okay. I'm willing to try, but where do I even begin?
Start by setting aside time each day for focused work.
Okay.
Even if it's just 10 minutes.
10 minutes of no distractions, just working on anything.
Exactly.
Okay, that seems doable.
The key is consistency.
Right.
Like building a meditation habit.
Okay.
You wouldn't expect to meditate for an hour on your first try.
Right.
You start small and build up.
Okay. I'm seeing how all this fits together.
Yeah.
Creating a system to support deep work, scheduling, eliminating distractions, Pomodoro technique, prioritizing and training our focus.
You got it.
And it's not just about being productive. It's about unlocking our potential.
It is.
That focus and creativity most of us have never experienced.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see that. It's not about getting more done.
Yeah.
It's about doing our best work.
That's it.
The work that really matters.
The work that matters.
It's about finding that flow state where time disappears.
Right.
And we're just totally in it.
The more you practice deep work, the easier it gets.
I'm feeling inspired to make deep work a bigger part of my life.
That's great.
But I also know it's not going to be easy.
It's not.
There will be challenges and setbacks.
There will be.
So how do we deal with those?
Yeah.
Do we just power through?
Sometimes.
Or are there like strategies for those tough moments?
That's a great question, and that's what we'll talk about in the last part.
Okay.
We'll cover those common obstacles.
All right.
And how to overcome them.
Sounds good. I'm ready to learn how to make deep work a lasting part of my life.
Can't wait to share what we've learned. See you back here for the final part.
Right, back to deep work. And after our last conversation, I'm really fired up to make some changes.
That's great.
But, you know, I'm also trying to be realistic about this. It's not going to be easy all the time.
It's not about being perfect. You know?
Right.
There are going to be days when focusing is just like impossible.
Exactly. So how do we deal with those obstacles then?
Yeah.
What are the biggest things that sabotage deep work?
Okay.
And what can we do to stay on track?
Well, from what I've seen in these materials, I'd say procrastination is the biggest culprit.
Ugh, procrastination.
We all have those tasks we just dread.
Oh, yeah.
The ones we put off, even though we know it's just going to stress us out later.
I am the queen of procrastination. I'll clean my whole house before starting a big project.
It's a classic way to avoid stuff.
Right.
And it's not always laziness.
Oh.
A lot of times it's fear, fear of failing, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
If you don't start, You can't mess it up right. Right.
So how do we fight this procrastination monster?
One way is this thing called temptation bundling.
Temptation bundling. What's that?
It's like pairing something you enjoy with something you hate.
Okay.
Like, let's say you love podcasts,
Yeah.
but you hate doing dishes.
Uh-huh.
You only let yourself listen to podcasts while you're doing dishes.
Oh, so the chore becomes less of a drag.
Exactly.
I could even use that for deep work.
Right.
Like only letting myself have my special coffee while I'm working on that big project.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're making deep work more appealing.
Yeah,
So you're less likely to resist it.
I see.
Another good tactic is breaking down those big, scary tasks
Right.
into smaller, more manageable chunks.
So instead of writing a whole chapter,
Uh-huh.
I just focus on outlining one section.
Exactly. Small steps feel less overwhelming,
Makes sense.
so you're more likely to get started.
Okay, so procrastination, we're tackling that.
Right.
What's another big obstacle to deep work?
Okay, so our brains are wired to seek out new stuff,
Right.
new stimulation.
We love novelty.
We do. And that's why multitasking is so tempting.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like we're doing more,
Right. Doing it all?
but actually it makes us less efficient
Really?
and more likely to make mistakes.
Oh, man, I'm so guilty of that.
Uh-huh.
Like a million tabs open, trying to write an email, answer a text, and listen to music all at once.
I know, it's exhausting.
It is.
And it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
When we try to focus on too many things, our attention gets all fragmented.
Right.
We end up doing a bad job at everything.
So the key is to resist that urge to multitask
Yes.
and just focus on one thing at a time.
Exactly.
Mm.
It's about training our brains to ignore distractions
Okay.
and stay focused on what we're doing.
But it's not just those outside distractions, is it?
No, it's not.
Sometimes my own thoughts can completely derail me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You could be in the quietest place and your mind is still going a mile a minute.
Totally. Like I'll be trying to work.
Yeah.
And I'll start thinking about my to-do list or that thing I said earlier.
That's when mindfulness can really help. Notice those thoughts without judgment
Okay.
and gently bring your attention back to the task.
So not like pushing the thoughts away,
Well,
not just letting them pass through.
Exactly. The more you practice this,
Yeah.
the better you get at catching your mind wandering.
And then redirecting it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we talked about procrastination, multitasking.
Right.
What else kills deep work?
Interruptions, especially at work.
Eh.
Phone calls, colleagues stopping by,
Uh-huh.
urgent emails popping up right when you're in the zone.
It's like the universe doesn't want me to focus.
Ah,
Right. So how do we set boundaries when everyone wants our attention?
you have to communicate.
Okay.
Let people know you're not available.
Right.
Maybe a sign on your door,
Okay.
or set your status to do not disturb,
Yeah.
or even schedule specific times for collaborative work.
So everyone knows when they can reach you.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
setting expectations and protecting that deep work time.
This has been so helpful.
Good.
We've gone from the basics of deep work
Yeah.
to like real life challenges and solutions.
Right.
I'm feeling way more ready to make deep work happen.
That's awesome. Remember, it's a journey,
Right.
not a destination.
Not a finish line.
There will be good days and bad days.
Yeah.
The important thing is to keep practicing and learning.
Find what works for you and make it a habit.
Exactly. And in a world full of distractions,
Yeah.
the ability to focus is a superpower.
So well said. To our listener, we hope this deep dive has given you the tools to unlock your own deep work potential.
It's not about being a productivity machine.
Right.
It's about finding that focus and creativity that can change your work and your life.
Go out there, create your deep work sanctuary, and make something amazing happen.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.